Tired of seeing Kid everywhere? Me too. Welcome back, crew, or if you're new to the crew, hit that sub for love. Just saying here, and I wanted to go over briefly and quickly my ideal things to do if you want to beat Kid, because let's be honest, if you're watching this, you're probably tired of seeing him, or you just want a quick recap in between rounds of your event, and that's completely fine. So I'll be going over my ideal way on if you're playing this deck, or if you're playing Kid and you just want to be the bigger Kid. That's corny, I know. There's not going to be any visuals or anything like that. I'm just going to pull up the deck. That way you can kind of understand what cards I'm talking about Keely to counter within this deck. Outside of that, this is more so just audio based for you to listen to, and you can focus on other things like sleeving decks or whatever it is that you're doing. Now real quick, before I start getting into specific deck matchups, I want to go over just a couple things with playing against Kid and what their key things are going to be that you want to remember. Now if you don't know, their win condition is going to be to have you down to your last life, attach all Dawn to leader, and swing, discard, restand, and swing again, because that's just the leader's ability. If you have 3 Dawn, you pay the 3 and you can swing again. Also, if you can't block the double attack Kid or respect it enough to want to KO it, then you can probably be facing that as well as something that is problematic for sure. Also, if it comes up, and most likely it will, if they have 2 to 3 Dawn not rested, they have the high capability to have both counters, and they can chain them if they want to for 8k to add. So be very wary of that. So you want to use Luffy. We all love him. Now a few things you'll want to do when playing red against Kid is, for one, know what to jet pistol and know that your target is going to be Basil Hawkins. I say that because if you don't, most likely you're going to get swung at by him for possibly 3 times, because if I'm playing green and I swing with him twice and I've done nothing else my turn to even begin with, then most likely I got law in hand to restand him, and if you just get rid of him, then none of that will happen. So you want to be completely original and play blue, or unoriginal. Anyway, biggest thing when playing Croc versus Kid is, if you can, and most likely you'll be able to, return to Hawkins or X-Drake, or if they didn't think it through, the 7-cost Kid, because none of green has rush, but they all, when they swing, will always have a follow-up effect to boost their win condition and possibility, and those 3 I just listed do the most to help them and hurt you. Also know that Hawkins ruling if that person happens to swing with him. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it is if you have a blocker, so Law for example, and they swing with Hawkins and you have Thrust Pad Cannon in your hand and you activate it, due to the correct order of phases, you can block in the block phase with Law, then during the counter phase, use the Thrust Pad to return your low cost blocker, and because of that, the attack was blocked, but Basil will not be able to restand due to the rulings that was put out by Bandai. So do keep that in mind, and it is a very good strategy to use to avoid the Basil effect. Block with the character and also reuse your block resource to be then played later in the next turn. So that's something to just really keep in mind for sure. And if you do have any questions with that ruling or anything else in this video, then by all means drop a comment in the video, and I have no problem with responding as soon as I possibly can. Outside of that, as far as the Croc versus Kid strategy, you will want earlier game wins after returning their cards, like their blockers in green and their key cards that, you know, like I said, they don't have rush. So try returning some of those cards that are very problematic and benefit your pushing for game, and maybe an earlier, maybe mid-game stage, because if not, you're definitely going to be facing a 12k Kid to the face twice at the very least. Love the big-bodied Kaido or the anti-hero. I get it, because sometimes the villains need love too, you know. Best strategy with Kaido versus Kid is going to be, when you can, because you'll be able to in this deck, KO the Bonnie Searcher, the Beige Blocker, and the Double Attack Kid. All of these are valuable because, for one, Useless Kid has to be respected, especially in the early game state, because it is such a low costing card. Get rid of those cards for sure. Other than that, push for maybe like an early to mid game while you wait to bring out your favorite Sun King and KO majority of their low cost board, or your odd child out Queen to block your field from your 2 swings that you're going to be facing from Kid, especially in the later game. Now finally, if you're watching this because you want to know how people can beat your almighty Kid deck, or you want to be the bigger Kid in the mirror match, then this is the way to do it. For one, play Basil first and keep him alive. He's going to help you push for damage, and he's going to be your key card in winning for sure. If your little Kid opponent plays their Basil, then get rid of it, because that's just too many clones in the mirror and you don't want them to have the advantage for sure. And you can do that by using your Straw Sword so that they can't even swing and use his ability. Then lastly, get out your 7 cost kid before them, and you should be just fine as far as the rest of the matchup is concerned. And with that, that's just my quick rundown while you are in between matches. So definitely go out there, do great. You're going to be just fine. Just relax, stay hydrated, stay motivated. Know that the One Piece is real. Know that I got love for you over here. And peace.